Let's check in with another guy who has built his entire career on transphobia. Because, I mean, this is the way it works, folks. If you come out and make yourself a professional bigot and decide that your fundamentalist worldview must be adopted by the heathens and profane like you all are, and that his vision, as told to him by God, is the only vision for the way that people can be in society. That's it. Period. End of story. You must have a hierarchy within the family. It must include a male who dominates the female. Then maybe you have your children. This is commanded by God as told to us by Matt Walsh, a guy who was a nobody until he stumbled on the idea of maybe I can pretend I'm some type of transgender expert. Incidentally, he was on Joe Rogan, and the one thing that is the fundamental basis of all of his transphobia is that we are in this country, we are spreading such this, like, we are grooming our children. The one data point that would be the foundation of his entire argument, how many children have been, in his words, subjected to gender affirming care in the form of puberty blockers? He said it was in the millions, and it turns out to be less than 10,000, less than 5,000 over the period of time they was talking about. Not even the most basic of facts that you would start your transphobic career with did this guy even come, even remotely, let's put it this way.
Not within a tenth spot.
It is almost literally impossible to get that number more wrong than he did. He could have said billions. That's the only other way that he could have been wrong, more wrong, when the number is less than 2,000 over a certain period of time. He could have said billions of people instead of millions, and he didn't. So to his credit, he didn't say the entire globe has now been subjected to puberty blockers. And that's about it. But here he is now, also just opining on other shit about our society that he has absolutely no understanding, has done no research on. The only thing he needs is God's word as told to us through the holy scepter that he is.
Hey there, on the topic of are people born this way, but what biological and chemical changes are occurring in society through pharmaceuticals and food, like genetically modified food, contributing to how people see gender and what we currently see in society and what your film is about?
I think it is.
New world.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think it is contributing to a certain extent. I couldn't speak with any authority on how that works exactly.
Pause it. Not only he can't speak to any authority on anything he's talking about. He didn't even know the guys that did a documentary on how trans ideology is taking over the planet, and
he went to a different continent and he couldn't Google the most basic fact about what he's arguing. And
now he's saying that GMOs are somehow contributing to this non-explosion of, and listen, and don't cite percentages, because we're literally talking in the tens of kids who are, 13 to 18, who have had gender affirming surgery over the past 4 or 5 years is literally not, I don't even know if it's even 1,000. And we're talking from the ages of 13 to 17. There's no data necessarily on the age there. So he is now making the statement that GMOs and pharmaceuticals are, sort of driving this trans fake explosion as
The
it
way
were.
to tie the anxiety about the COVID vaccine into
Of course,
into
this is
transphobia.
all just garbage. And then he says, well, I can't really speak to authority on how it happens, yet he's willing to speak with authority that that's what's causing it. I mean, the guy is such a charlatan. Continue.
Are occurring in society through pharmaceuticals and food, like genetically modified food, contributing to how people see gender and what we currently see in society and what your film was about.
I think it is.
The world.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think it is contributing to a certain extent. I couldn't speak with any authority on how that works exactly. I mean, I just saw, and this is not directly related to gender, but I just saw a headline yesterday about how sperm count, has gone down exponentially over the last several decades. Now, I'm not saying that in and of itself explains why we have, the proliferation of transgenderism, but it just goes to show clearly there's something in the food, there's something in our diet and our environment that's affecting us at a
So
really
scientific.
Yes. I have done some
clearly-
heavy research into this. I read a headline about sperm count going down. So clearly there's something in the food or something out there that is implicating this. And therefore I can bring it up in the context of transgenderism. What?
Yeah, I mean,
I want everybody to stop for a moment.
Right.
What would the reduction of sperm count? Why would that cause an increase in transgenderism?
Feminizing the population.
Yeah, except for we have seen, to the extent that there's been an increase in young people anyways, identifying themselves as trans, it has happened amongst females or people who are born as girls, were identified as girls. But you know what? I saw a headline, so I'm just going to let it roll. Go ahead.
basic internal level, and that's something I think is worth exploring for sure.
I
yeah,
encourage
I'm a
people to,
total
Look
idiot.
into that aspect of it as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Well, we are
the enlightenment over here.
What an incredible meeting of
of
like some of the
minds.
greatest
Yeah.
brains in the world. I mean, that is just if there's anything you need to know about how just bullshit this fundamentalist theocrat is.
And like, I mean, the way that these right-wing charlatans try to exploit like a genuine fear that people might have that maybe what I'm getting in my food is unsafe, maybe my water's unsafe, and try to parlay it into bigotry. It's just like, I mean, Matt Walsh, I'm sure, was entirely silent on things like lead in the pipes and like when it affects populations that they don't care about. But when they can exploit that tension for bigotry, they go all in.
Oh yes,
Right.
I'm sure he's a very big advocate of the
Microplastics.
well, yeah, I'm sure he's a
Right.
very big advocate of the EPA and the FDA cracking down on this.